2 Robot Masters left to go, and our save menu is filling in quite nicely, actually. And we're going to be going against Magma Man next. With all the upgrades we've been finding, we can actually get all of his upgrades in his level probably in one go-through, which is kind of amazing in and of itself. But we're actually going to go through as if we're not going to take any upgrades and just take the main route as normal, just to show you what it's all about. So we get these little bombardier type enemies, and you're going to skip over those. I mean, if you want to, you can turn around and shoot them in the back. This one you don't have the luxury of doing so. And this level, more so than I think the original Mega Man 9 counterpart, you actually have a lot more platforming to do. And here we get introduction to these little platforms that were in Shadow Man stage in Mega Man 3. And they're not too bad right now, but they get combined in rather cruel and unusual ways in the latter half of the stage. And now we're introduced to conveyor belts, also in the same level. Nothing too hair-raising here at the moment. Just be wary that the lava down below is insta-death and will kill you if you fall into it without getting invincibility frames first. Now if you're fast, you can get that energy, but if not, well, you're just going to die. So just skip it if you don't need it. Now we get to the final gimmick of the stage, and wow, thank goodness for invincibility flames. And that is these magma beams. They are instant death like they are in Mega Man 9, however they are pretty prevalent throughout this stage, and always placed in the worst situations, of course. These ones aren't too big of an issue. They're just there to kind of give you an idea of how deadly they are before they're actually used for real in an actual tough-to-get-through obstacle. This is your first trial by fire, haha, as it were, with these magma beams. Here's an interesting bit to note. If you actually have the rain flush, the lava down below will actually freeze, similar in nature to Flame Mammoth stage, when you were beating Chill Penguin stage first, and then everything iced over in Flame Mammoth stage. You can actually, well, yeah, let me talk about that in just a second. This section is just really cruel, so you're going to have perfect time to get through that. Very interesting section overall, though. Applaud for its creativity. But back to the rain flush, yeah, that lava will actually turn into walkable, iced over lava, but it will, after a time, thaw out and become deadly again. But you can use it to skip whole vast sections of hard areas should you want to, or have a need to. The second half of the stage isn't really that long. In fact, the first half was longer, but it's a little bit more harder than normal. Harder than the first half, anyway. And when I first saw this section, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. These drop-out platforms along with these magma beams, that's just a terrible combination. I pretty much just sat there laughing for about a good 5-10 seconds. I'm like, you've got to be joking. And this is actually a Quickman-like segment. Of all things in this level, Quickman. Thankfully it isn't as bad and doesn't last as long. So that is very much grateful for not having a huge Quickman-like segment. But if you're not careful, it can catch you off guard the first couple times, and you're probably going to die from it. Then you have this interesting little design of a room here. You have an upper path and a lower path. That 500-point ball block is actually a lot harder to get than it looks. That much I can tell you. But it is possible. I'm just not doing it here because it's annoying. Now this you really want to get is that energy tank. The only way to do it that I've found is to freeze that beam with the rain flush and quickly get out of there before it thaws out and magma beam shoots forward. Now these platforms, these conveyor belts, those two right there will probably catch anyone off guard. And you'll probably get hit and fall into the lava and die. But if you can survive that tricky area, you're actually right here at the end. So all in all, this is actually one of the shorter stages in the game. But it's definitely not sweet. Now if you'll notice, the first major, I guess you'd say, gimmick of the room is those 2 magma beam canisters up top there. And those do come into play over the course of the battle. Magma Man will summon, at will, look, he's summoning 2 of them right now, insta-death magma beams, so if you happen to touch them at any point during the battle, you will die and all your efforts will be have gone to waste. And every now and then he'll actually either be on, on the left or the right middle platform, and he'll summon a magma beam on the opposite canister. But beyond that, he's actually pretty much more or less the same as he was in Mega Man 9. He just has a couple extra tricks up his sleeve. And every time he lands, he throws out those 2... Oh yeah, and he has that type of attack as well, where he shoots out smaller flames across the board. But if you're patient and you time your jumps well along with his, you're not going to have too much of an issue with him. The Magma Bazooka works just as well as you think it would. There's nothing really different about it compared to its Mega Man 9 variation. You can charge it up for a more powerful blast, and it shoots in 3 directions, kind of like the Chameleon Sting in Mega Man X. So, all in all, a decent weapon, just not a very notable one. Now, if you want to get the ever so helpful Energy Saver, which reduces weapon energy usage by half, then you're going to want to take this alternate path straight from the start. And you're going to have to go through the alternate Quickman-like segment, which is even harder than the mandatory one. But if you have the Centaur Flash, this area becomes laughably easy, because it basically slows everything down. Now here, the only way I've been able to find, and I failed miserably this first time, as you can see, is to turn these to basically ice, these magma beams, and you can hop up them and shoot a spark shock there. Get ready to freeze these beams yet again, and this time use the rush coil, and you got your energy saver, and that's it. It's a little bit tricky, but it's not too bad overall. And then of course you do this to grab the remaining power-ups, and you land right before the mid-boss door. Very quick shortcut. Now here, this is really tricky. You actually have to freeze this beam, walk across it to this alternate path here. And here you gotta jump very quickly across all these platforms before, you know, pretty much instant death follows behind. You have little room for error there, so you gotta be quick and fast. And from here, I'd say that was probably the trickiest part of this alternate path. The rest is fairly easy to complete. Now your first inclination here, once it comes on screen, is to go underneath this structure, but no, you want to go above this structure if you want to get to the actual master tank. Besides, going underneath is a little bit difficult with the conveyor belts anyway, so I wouldn't trust it. Okay, you gotta wait for that guy to fire the flame, or he'll knock you into the pit, which leads you back down before the boss door, and that just doesn't help you anyway. Either the Rain Flush or the Centaur Flash will get you enough time to get that master tank, and this just lands you right before the boss door as stated previously.